Watching Ben television. Against the backdrop of restructuring Nigeria, the president yesterday went into a meeting with his senior security staff, that is the Minister of Defense, the Chief of Staffs, and after it, the Minister of Defense came out early to tell us that the federal government will really want all states to suspend their grazing laws for them to be able to protect Nigeria very well. If that is done, of course, there will be constitutional issues because of the kind of protection we have for what the state could do. Secondly, the federal government has presented a waterway bill where all the waterways in Nigeria, rivers and oceans, whatever waterway that Nigeria is in control of, should be in the hands of federal government. Not only that, the land around the waterways should also be controlled by the federal government, which means the grazing will be controlled by the federal government, fishing will be controlled by the federal government, farming will be controlled by the federal government, and they could give it to anyone they wish. And yet, people are asking for restructuring. We don't know whether you will support this one. We are just presenting them to you. Will this now make Nigeria a unitary form of government, or it will be a federal form of government only in name? But some people are raising issues and questions. We want to hear from you. Let's start with you, Youdecied. From all these three, what do you think is happening?
I think there's a problem here. And just like you said, the APC government was already a failure from the beginning. Reason being the fact that they had no policy direction. They had no focus. In fact, they were like a baby that was not supposed to be born, and suddenly he gave birth to. And he was given birth to. And the baby now found out that he's now alive. And suddenly started jumping up, and they call him different names. And it's just like that. This government is a frivolent government that has no future for Nigeria.
Are you sure?
I'm very certain about it, because you cannot wake up. How can the president go and sit down with his military apparatus and then wake up and then start telling Nigerians, we want to take over the lands in Nigeria, we want to take over the waterways in Nigeria, we want to take over the farmlands in Nigeria, everything will be in. Nigeria has not been able to practice true federalism. And we say true federalism in Nigeria has failed. And then you are trying to tell us that you will take on who? I want to warn Nigerians. I want to say it categorically clear here on Ben TV.
Yeah.
This is Buhari dictatorship in disguise. And they should be ready. If he is, I don't know how many 45 million youths in Nigeria that have registered. Already, we know that there is an ongoing clamor that there is a rigging arrangement going on. If they should allow Buhari to come back next May 2019, this is a man that is disguising himself in a
you have not paid for advertisement.
I am advertising for Nigerians to go and vote properly.
Okay,
vote
all right.
properly,
All right, they will decide themselves.
If not, next year this man will take your land, even your backyard land. He will take even the way you are digging in your own compound to drink water.
Let's hear from Ali Shoyode, who is contesting for the presidency. You've heard the way the Buhari administration is going. Even yesterday, Buhari met with his army staff and senior security officials and came out to say that the states that have got their grazing laws in place should receive. I mean, do you agree with that? Knowing fully well that this waterway bill will release the power of feeding in Nigeria to the federal government.
I think in a constitutional nation, the Constitution is supreme and above everybody. The dictate of the Nigerian Constitution should decide the future. But nevertheless, being that way, practicing a democracy in our country, the members of the National Assembly have the last order as well, where the Constitution is not able to solve the problem. In this situation, we have National Assembly, we have Constitution. So I would like to see how the rule of law of the Federal Republic of Nigeria is maintained, followed, and obeyed to the fullest.
Otumba, what's your take on this?
is another big model in the way we rule ourselves, we govern ourselves, the way we do business of governance in Nigeria. And it's very saddening to note that when you want to compare what we do here to other countries, you find out to be so many years behind, very, very primitive in nature, primitive in everything we handle things. Now, ordinarily, government anywhere supposed to be a vehicle to generate rules, regulations, and laws to make life better for everybody. You cannot continue doing a business of contraception, putting things together haphazardly in a way that the ordinary man would not understand what is going on. And this is also part of it that I'm very proud to say that I am doing a program on heritage, educating the people, making people to understand their rights, what they should understand when it comes to governance. Now, this is a situation that is not going to help anybody. Now, if you go back during the time of ECN, when government were like have a stronghold on supply of energy, supply of that. Now, if you now go and make life so impossible for people, it's become a central something which is not going to enhance development. So these are problems we deliberately choose to go for because we don't know it just look like we don't know what to do. We are confused. We are not capable. We are showing incompetence. It's all this put together, and it's not only with the executive. It's with the
one
legislation.
question. I just want to. I use one statement to answer. All these things. Where are you? Are you in support of it? This taking over of the waterways and the farmland, are you in support in one state?
Of course, I cannot be in support. I just said it to you, sir.
Because
the way they are doing. No, I don't. I've just said, no, what I said here. No, I'm not. What I'm saying is, you cannot make laws. Okay. You cannot make laws, you cannot make rules that is going to disenfranchise the people, that's not going to help the people. If you're now saying you want to make waterway laws, and then it's going to be, if you don't see the president, if you don't see the executive, you cannot fish, you cannot do that. This is not on.
Quickly, we have this from Augustine. Can anyone in the studio comment on whether or not we have ever had good governance in Nigeria since our independence? This one is from Siriwusu, and it's to Dr. Shiode. A question to Dr. Shiode. If you are not able to realize your ambition in 2019, will it be for Nigerian politics? How far are you connected to different parts of Nigeria, inside Nigeria? We have a caller, Adi. Hello, Adi.
Yeah. Good morning, guys. I came up as Adi from Birmingham. I forgot to congratulate Mr. Alistair. I wish him the best of luck. Never be discouraged, because Obama came and talked between him and his colleague that he want to give a try, and eventually something happened. I just want to encourage you, forget about the money aspect of it. We have to be honest. When Buhari came to, people contributed. So you people should create a platform whereby this fund will come. Nevertheless, I want to disagree with Mr. Azu, and I want to ask you, because I know the last 2014, he was ranting in this studio that Buhari turned Nigeria to a Muslim country. For 10 minutes ago, when I checked Nigeria, I don't think all Nigerians are Muslim. You can't come to this studio and start making like that, Mr. Azu, with due respect to you. You see, this discussion, Mr. Alistair have said it. This is not yet a law. It's going to the National Assembly. It's left for the National Assembly to pass the law or say, no, we can't pass the law. So we can't start making noise now, because this bill has not gone to the National Assembly. It is the National Assembly that will come together and now say, okay, this law is good for Nigerian people. But unfortunately, you coming and making noise about vote.
Let me ask you a question. Are you saying, Ade, 1 second.
Election is about numbers.
Ade, one second.
You didn't learn the mistake.
Ade, let's have a dialogue. Are you saying this waterway bill is good for the whole nation? Is that what you're saying?
We are still Muslim and Christian. You people should stop all these things.
Would you like to answer my question?
Not lie, not propaganda.
Would you like to answer my question? Are you in
Yes.
support of this waterway bill as it is?
I didn't come again, Mr. Dr. Johnson.
I say the waterway bill that wants to give all our waterways to the control of the federal government and all the land surrounding the waters in Nigeria to be controlled by the federal government. Are you in support of it?
Be possible, and that's why it's not going to be possible. There will be a stiff opposition to it because we are thinking of restructuring.
Are you?
People want to control their resources.
Yes. So you are not in support.
No, definitely I'm not in support.
All right, thank you very much. Dr. Shodi, there is a question to you here from Siri Wusu, a man who you want to
connected, am I?
Yeah, to Nigerians in Nigeria. You are connected to Nigerians in Europe. In fact, you are the chairman of NIDO at one time. So we know that you own Europe, but in Nigeria, do you own Nigeria? Or rather, seriously.
But the question, the answer here is, what do you mean by connected?
That is, do you have people who
of course,
working for you in Anambra, in Ebonyi?
I have family, which is cool because I'm Nigerian. Number two, I have colleagues. Number three, which is now the political angle. As a party will have presence in all the 36 states of the country. As a Nigerian movement, we have state affiliation. We have state chapters across the country. And the yes has been trending. We have been going to regional, almost almost most state around the north and the south. We have been there educating the people face to face, not even using social media, face to face. We go to the villages, to the city, and talk to them about their democratic power and authority.
There are
and
36
rights.
states in Nigeria.
Yeah.
Have you visited the 36?
Well, you see, I have not done any campaigning. The beauty about how I am presently, that you can hear me trending, I have not done any of that. I haven't done any town hall. I haven't done any campaign.
When are you going to start?
I'm following the due structure and the laid out strategy that we're following.
Okay.
Right now, at least we go into Nigeria, we do what we have to do. We mingle, we listen, and we participate. Now, Nigeria, for me, I'm a patriotic. Removing the word patriotic, I'm an embodiment of what Nigeria is: the good, the bad, and the good.
And you want to portray the good.
Absolutely. So for me, I'm a bridge between the north and the south. Because
Now, I listened to you the other day at the House of Commons when you were presenting before the parliamentarians there, and of course some Nigerians there. And you, for the first time, I listened to you that the yes has so many E's. That is Y-E-E-E-E-E-E-S. What exactly? I mean, it's the first time in my life that the spelling of yes changed. So there is a yes and there's a yes. We want our viewers to hear exactly this yes.
Well, the way we describe it is, if you can actually, do you want water? You may say, do you want water?
Yes, I can say yes.
Yeah, but then now when you had a first baby, and maybe it was the sex you wanted, you will not go, you will probably say yes. You know what I mean?
Oh, they kind of,
Or maybe you should ask him, do you want money? Then you hear
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So that is how we now come out with the yes. That is what
With an
we want.
attitude.
With attitude. That's what we want for Nigeria. Yes, a good Nigeria. Yes, a good country. A solid country where rule of law is followed, where everybody is treated equally, where peace and justice will reign. Yes, that is what I want for Nigeria. And that's why we now started talking. But what do the Nigerian people always talk about? They talk about the younger generation, the youth. And that's why the first letter is a representation of youth and young ones.
Okay.
Yeah, what do they want? They want a good education.
Now we come to the E.
Now we come to the E. They want good education where everybody can at least go to school. Whatever it is, learn something. Be it in a skill market, skill industry, but learn something. Education. Right? Then we move to, well, there is good education. Then what about the economy? Everybody talks about the economy in Nigeria, being the number one on the African continent. But what are we going to do? Do we have a prosperous economy in Nigeria right now? Does it allow people to be treated equally? Are you able to trade? Are you able to negotiate, even with the international community, for your economy to be strengthened? Or do we rely on the $21 billion remitted yearly by the Nigerians in the diaspora? We need a robust economy. But it has to be people who actually know what it is to make sure that that is flowing across the board right? Yeah. So as we now talk about economy, then we talk about employment. You have money, you have wealth. So now, are there jobs? And if there are no jobs, how is going to create this employment in the industry? It may be government, it may be the private sector. The private sector needs good economy for them to be able to create jobs. So employment. Now we talk about friendly employment. We talk about one thing that every Nigerian state talk about: power, or the energy.
Okay. If I hear you correctly, you said something about Y, E, education, E, economy, E,
employment.
Okay, so
employment.
we hold on there so that I can take Remy Martins now. Hello, Remy. Hello, Remy. Speak to the mic. Speak to your telephone. Hello, Remy.
Hello.
Hello, finally.
Hello.
Hello, where are you calling from?
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, clearly.
Hello.
I can hear you clearly.
Yeah, morning.
Morning.
Yes. First of all, Dr. Johnson, I want to thank you for all your effort.
Thank you.
And I will advise that you don't allow your program in particular to be used to ridicule our beloved country and our president.
Absolutely. We gave you a position.
Azu, or what does he call himself? Should stop calling Buhari Buhari. You should call him President Buhari. Buhari is not like Donald Trump. You can call Donald Trump without putting president in it, but not Buhari, President Buhari. That aside. As for Saraki and the rest of them, you yourself know very well that we have a bunch of not-do-gooders that call themselves politicians. Buhari stand aside. He's fighting corruption. The whole genesis of all this ridiculous is about Buhari fighting corruption. And that is why you see various people carrying placards and various people protesting under the disguise of one reason or the other. If Buhari can stand to fight corruption and accrue 500 billion naira so far, we should give that back credit. For the announcement, we know that it's a political opponent, the political opponent sponsoring all these so-called announcements, even Boko Haram, they are being sponsored. The whole world knows that. So please, give that man, President Buhari, a credit. The only man that can stand without Buhari has died.
What's your take about
Ankara?
Remy?
This man is an astute.
What's your take about the Inspector General of the Police? What's your take about him not respecting the call by the Senate, his tactics? What's your take about him?
Alicia, we advise you don't waste your money. In this kind of dispensation, you can't win. Even maybe your family will vote for you, but you will see that your friend will be the one that will even go against you when it comes to the real election. So don't waste your time. Use your energy and your money to take care of your family. That's my advice. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. You see, he said you can't run away from spending money. That if you want to be the president, then be realistic. You must give people money. You've got to respond.
Well, I have my own policy. When we want to start the ethnic TV station, they told me it's not doable. But I have a principle, and I thank God for maintaining the status up to
for decades,
for decades, opening the windows and the opportunity for other TV stations that are not even black, imagine, in the United Kingdom. So really, truly, I don't have the money. And even as a party, we will not have the money to give people. But one thing that we know so far up to this minute, Doctor, is we have strengthened the democracy in Nigeria just by participating. You can't stand outside and continue to criticize the people who have volunteered. Either they know or they know not, but they end up being the guys who we elected to represent us in the state and at the national level. If we think we're better than them, or we're equal to them, or we can give them new ideas and technology or innovation, then we need to join them so that we can talk equally. You can't talk to them because they control the system. But now for me, as a leader, and then joining the system, they will know that hopefully they will begin to say, well, let's look at what Alistair is actually saying. Let's look at what Ali is actually tabling down from his own perspective of what leadership is, rather than just being outside the box. And that's the reason why we're doing what we're doing.
Okay, Otuma.
I quickly want to agree with Ali Shiode with his focus that do not give anything to anybody. Spend money where it's necessary to make sure that ordinary people do not get corruption from beginning.
Okay.
Now, but the one question I quickly want...
I will allow you because I know that Ali Shoyode
Yes.
is going, please, is leaving us very soon. But we have a caller, and I don't know whether...
Oh, okay.
So we have Chris. Hello, Chris.
Yeah, hello.
Yeah, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from London.
Oh, go ahead, sir.
Yes, permit me just to revisit the issue of Saraki versus the
Quickly.
executive. Quickly. I just want to talk on that one, and then I'll come back to Soyode and the water with you. I wouldn't want to live in a country, neither would I want my children to live in a country where, because of differences of political opinion, you could be accused of armed robbery. I think it is the lowest level the executive can bring itself down to, and the police apparatus that is being used to achieve that is very unbecoming in a civilized society. Now, if we have a society where the third highest person in the country can be accused of armed robbery, then every Nigerian will be deemed an armed robber by the rest of the world. That is the first point. Then, coming back to Soyode, I just wanted to put for us in 2 or 3 sentences what he would do to at least increase the GDP of Nigeria 10 times within the first 4 years.
Okay, thank you very much. You want to quickly respond?
Well, thank you very much, Chris Charles. In trying to improve the GDP of our country, number one, we know what allowed our economy to become number one, which is the entertainment industry, the Nollywood, because that's what they took into consideration and rebase and then making Nigeria number one. I'm within that industry, so I actually know the limitation and I know the challenges that industry is going through. But apart from that, sporting industry is another angle that we can definitely improve on our level and generate internally generated, that will allow us to increase our GDP. When we talk about agriculture, the only thing that I study is agriculture, so I know the challenges that we're facing even from that angle. But let's look at the power generation that we have presently in Nigeria.
You have 2 minutes more.
Yes, just about 5,000 megawatts. Now, based on 5,000, we're able to have a GDP of almost $150 million. Yes, $450 billion, based on 5,000. Now, doctor, increase that level to maybe 10,000. Your GDP will increase, even if it is by 100 billion, because your industries are able to function more, right? You're able to strengthen the whole process just by increasing the energy. Now, do we have the money and the resources to do that? The answer is absolutely yes. Do you have the willingness to execute to make sure that is executed? The answer is absolutely yes, because where we're coming from, we have seen it. And we know the challenges. And so the difference is absolutely clear. If you know talent, you are able to identify talent. And if you don't know talent, there's no way, even if it is placed in front of you, that you can do anything about it. So I know, in fact, 4 years for us is technically too long, to be honest. The process of getting and increasing the GDP of Nigeria is within 1 year, max 2 years, because we know what it takes to achieve that. And the best brains of Nigeria, outside the country, in the diaspora, we know who they are.
Yeah,
we know where to find them.
I know time is not on our side. And in one statement, all Nigerians will want to hear from you. What will you do to bring about electricity as it ought to be?
Well, that's basically the one of the point I mentioned, that we're talking about energy. If we increase the level of our energy from 5,000 to 10,000, our GDP will increase, employment would increase. But to be honest, to have all this thing without security, you're not going to enjoy your billions. So we would definitely focus, first and foremost as well, on strengthening, reforming the whole security apparatus in the country. Because when you know you have peace of mind, you can walk from here to the next community without afraid, without fear.
We will just have to leave it at this, and then we will want to invite you as soon as possible, because our viewers will really want to scrutinize your position, and so we want to thank you.
Would they, when they talk about funding, your electorate, your viewers, if they're talking that they want change in Nigeria, are they contributing to that change? Nevertheless, that they're not able to vote.
That's a challenge to you. Are you ready to contribute to see a real change in Nigeria? We're going for a short break now. Ali Shoyode may not be with us in the next new one, but we're going to bring in Lady Yemi Akinola, and then we're going to continue the show. Don't go away. We'll be right here.